Hello, thank you for joining us. I'm with Jack McCullough, the CEO of CFO Leadership Council. And Jack, you've also done some significant surveys around effective traits of CFOs. And I think you surveyed about 50 companies from startups all the way up to Fortune 50 companies to find out what made these CFOs successful. So why don't you start with what did you see coming out of the survey that comes to top of mind?
Sure. I think the first one is probably that they are strategic thinkers, and they weren't always in the past. It used to be the best accountant would become the CFO. Today it's somebody who has reasonable financial accounting expertise but thinks strategically. I've heard you reference the phrase CF no, and we encourage CFOs to become a CFGO, to actually go make the deal happen, rather than just sit back and evaluate and say no over and over again, or point out the potholes in the road. They actually are now going out and actively finding deals and creating opportunities for their organizations. It's very exciting, and it's a complete switch from the traditional role of a CFO, of a financial steward.
Right. That role stretch is happening. It is real that CFOs are being stretched towards the strategic side of the business.
Absolutely, more and more.
Needing to think more strategically. What are some of the things that enable them to do that?
Well, they're very much on the front lines. Like I said, rather than just saying no, no, no all the time, they're actually finding opportunities, whether it's new markets for their company, whether it's starting acquiring small companies to help with their product pipeline or expand to new geographic areas. CFOs are not just evaluating, they're actually on the front lines with the other executives making it happen.
Right.
And they bring a skill set that typically no one else in their organization has. They have financial expertise. So they're continuously educating their fellow executives on the financial risks and opportunities of every opportunity.
So one of the traits is being strategic, scanning the environment, helping the business understand, changing business models, and all that is becoming so critical today. What next, Jack?
I think the next one probably, they are building elite teams. Right. And 70% of organizations have human resources actually poured into chief financial officers these days. And so they're building elite teams within finance and accounting, and yet they're also building elite teams throughout their entire organization. And the advice I got from these great CFOs I spoke with over and over again was, don't think for today. Sure, it's difficult. You have to, live in the short run, but think 5 years out. Find people, think of where the company will be 5 years, and start to build a team that either has the skills or is capable of developing the skills that will serve the organization 5 years from now.
Right. So. Absolutely. We did a survey with Oracle. It was around agile finance, and what emerged from that was, at top of mind of successful agile CFOs is management and development of their function. So really focusing on talent creation, focusing on talent within finance, and then providing tools and resources to make sure that the essential skills and competencies of the future are being built. And at the association, we're doing exactly that. We're providing those tools and resources through CGMA. And it's something that 97% of the CEOs in this KPMG survey said they want their CFOs to focus on talent.
Makes all the sense in the world, and to your point about educating the CFOs, like their accounting pronouncements now, they're that thick. That's guys like us, that's the size of our accounting textbooks when we were back in college, right? So it's not realistic for them to do it, but I think your role is educating CFOs and their teams in a pragmatic way. They're not PhD candidates in accounting, they're trying to run businesses.
Right.
And they're not going to sit down and read 500-page pronouncements on accounting rules and try to master them. They need to be practical and provide useful information to their investors and other stockholders.
Right.
So
and you need to layer on top of those technical skills the people skills, the leadership skills, and the business skills.
Absolutely.
And those are some enablers that help CFOs make that transition to more strategic thinkers and being more collaborative with the business, etc.
Indeed. CFOs play the role both of student and teacher continuously. They are always learning. They're intellectually curious. And we live in a world, if you're not keeping up to speed on technology, you can be a dinosaur before your 30th birthday, right? I mean, things change all the time. And, they have work to do, so they can't be, studying. So.
Right. And then let's look at the third element of, a successful trade.
I think there are several commonalities they had, but the one that came up over and over was ethical leadership.
Right.
CFOs are supposed to be the ethical leaders of their companies, and she's supposed to set the tone for the entire organization. And I don't think it's in the DNA of a CFO to lie, but ethics goes beyond just not lying. It's full disclosure of all relevant information in an accurate and timely way.
Right.
And that's what it's all about. That's probably their most important role.
Right.
The reason they are the most trusted executives in the company, because of that. It's sort of the no spin zone for them. They just they see it and they tell it the way it is.
Right.
So, and people are relying on that. And if they make compromises, well, they can't make compromises, because once employees see a CFO making an ethical compromise, maybe ethics are a little flexible here. If the CFO is making a compromise, maybe I can make one.
Right.
Highest ethics all the time.
And so the CFO becomes the standard setter of ethics. And ethics is also around decision making, because you are trying to make the best decision with independence. And so the CFO also brings a level of independent thinking. And managing the expectation of the various stakeholders. So stakeholder management in the ethical realm, I think people look to the CFO for that.
Absolutely.
For that guidance.
And there are a lot of stakeholders that are, affected by it. A fiduciary duty of a CFO is to the stockholders.
Right.
But there are people you have to consider. You have to consider your employees, your customers. Occasionally, depending upon what company, workforce society as a whole is affected by your decisions.
Exactly.
And you have to be cognizant of that and always make the right decision and always disclose information.
Right.
So,
well, Jack, thanks for joining us. That was extremely useful. Thank you also for joining us this morning. Thank you. Bye-bye.